All right, where are all the monsters at? You know, the funny thing, I was just listening to a podcast, and the podcast is called Tale of the Manticore. And, you know, I was looking for monsters in the woods, and I ended up finding them on that podcast. So if you guys like monsters and stories and Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of stuff, it's a really interesting podcast where this guy writes a story organically right in front of you with all the audio effects and everything. It's called Tale of the Manticore, so check it out. So I know some of you guys come here for the monsters, primarily this monster, but if you're into other kind of monsters, you know, that's the thing to check out, man. It's a really good podcast. So yeah, I don't just give workout tips. Oh, look, a stick. I could sell you guys that. That thing's worth at least 20 bucks. Actually, that's not true. I broke it in two. It's worth at least 40.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Yeah. Like sitting on the ground here. Something different. Something different than filming in the garage all the time. Getting back to my roots. Trees have roots and they also have sticks, and I can make a healthy profit from that. Welcome back to Natural Land Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I want to talk to you about why you might want to think about changing up the volume once in a while. And the reason why I am speaking about this is because a lot of times when you teach on YouTube or when you talk about a certain training style, people will automatically assume that that's the only way you train, or for some reason that is one of the 10 commandments of training, regardless of whether it comes to range of motion or volume or frequency of training. And the truth is that once in a while I have found that it's good to not only break your own rules, but also realize that all of these things that we learn are tools. And it's not a matter of whether the tools are perfect or not. It's more about when to apply them and how much. So what I've found for myself is that if I do too much volume, I cannot maintain the same frequency that I find the best results in. I get the best results with 2-day splits or something around there, right? And if I'm doing a lot of volume, then I have a hard time maintaining that. But once in a while, like yesterday, I will do a lot of sets for a body part just to blitz that area. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, sometimes you will notice that your experience of the muscle and of the exercise is much different as you go into deeper levels of exhaustion. And sometimes this helps muscle activation and also helps proprioception, you know, basically coordination. So yesterday I did bench presses in the garage with 245 on the bench, right? And I started doing 1 or 2 sets or 3 sets, and it just felt right to keep going. I just, you know, the next set, and it just felt good. So I did around 10 sets of bench with 245. And then I just wanted to do some squeezing type dumbbell type movements after, and I did about 3 sets with flat dumbbells. Now, of course, I was extremely fatigued and I couldn't get that many reps with the 100-pound dumbbells at that point. But because it was something different, and also because my experience of the muscle was different, I could feel that there was something I was activating that I don't necessarily touch that often when I'm doing lower amounts of volume. There was a well-being and a smoothness with how everything was moving. And like I've said before, I allow the feeling to guide me. And sometimes the technique will guide me into certain ways of training that might not necessarily be regular for me, but they feel right at the time. It's almost like you're breaking off the dust or the cobwebs off of an old book. You know, it's almost like you're freeing up an area or moving it in a different way, just to not necessarily shock it, but to expose it to a type of stimulation that may help you hit different muscle fibers. And sometimes getting a massive amount of blood flow in an area can cause some sort of adaptation. And that's the one advantage I would say, or one of the advantages of higher volume training from time to time. Now, if you do it all the time, what you do is you a lot of times burn out with energy and you don't necessarily get more benefit. But if you do it once in a while, at least for me, I find, if I do it once in a while, it helps me break through a plateau that I'm stuck at. Now again, I will urge you that just because it works once in a while doesn't mean it works all the time. Because this is the trap a lot of people get caught in, is that they'll find something and it works, and then they're like, okay, I have to train that way all the time, and then they burn themselves out and they don't necessarily get the benefit. So yeah, yesterday I did lots of sets for chest, and then I still did some back and some biceps, but I did my normal amount of sets for those areas. But you can apply this philosophy to any body part that you're struggling with, or any body part that feels like it needs it. And I'm not talking about just from a muscular development point of view, but you just feel like you've got some sort of momentum. You know, it's almost like there's some sort of momentum during your workout, and you feel like, wow, there's something going on here that's good. I want to ride this out. You know, a lot of you guys might have experienced this, where you're getting this feeling of well-being. And this has happened to me with squats. I don't do lots of sets for squats, not usually, only 3 or 4 sets. But sometimes I've decided to go into 10 sets of squats with 400 pounds because in some sort of groove and everything's feeling right, and it feels like it's the right time to push through that. So pay attention to your intuition, pay attention to how you feel first and foremost, and how you feel will give you some clue of how to train. And more often than not, it will cause you to break through your own fanaticism, or possibly your own way of doing things. You know, you might have a strict structure of how you do everything, and then this one day you feel a certain way, and then you train a little bit differently and you get a great result from it. So remember to return back to your intuition from time to time, because your body is the one guiding you. It's not necessarily your head, you know? So yeah, once in a while, high volume can help get some more muscular hypertrophy and also help build more strength, because you're building that proprioception and that perfect groove. And once in a while doing this can assist with your training, regardless of what type of split that you are training with. Mountain. See, I'm way bigger when I'm sitting down, you notice that? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Got a muddy ass. I have a muddy ass now.